friends, welcome to the podcast. I am Melissa Matheson, and you may have noticed our opening music is a little different than normal. It's because my friend Catherine Mullins is here today, and you're hearing a snippet from her most recent album, Sing Like the Battle Is Over. Catherine is not only a dear friend of mine, but she is also a worship leader and a speaker that travels all over to churches, conferences, and events. She is passionate about seeing people encounter Jesus and fulfilling the unique call of God in their lives. You might be surprised to find out what Catherine really wanted to be when she grew up. So go grab your coffee and join us at the table. We're talking about how she got into leading worship, discovering purpose, and how the police got involved with finding Yoda. Today on What's Next, God? So you do a Keurig. You're not a French press at home?
Okay, so here's the thing. For survival in Hamilton back in the day, Starbucks was the K-cup thing because we didn't have, a Starbucks. I tried to do the whole French press thing. I have a really cute copper one at home. And I started making it. I followed instructions. I weighed the coffee. And I started having these really bad headaches. I think I just made it way too strong. And I just didn't feel good for like 2 days straight. And we were trying to figure out what was wrong. And I realized it was my coffee. So I've just gone back to Keurig because it's reliable and I can't mess it up.
And you can't mess it up because it's already mixed and stuff. So you're a big Starbucks. You mentioned Starbucks. You like Starbucks coffee?
Okay, so here's the other thing. This is very odd. And for all of you who get to hear this, if you're interested. I love bougie coffee and I love like boutique coffee. Love it with my whole heart.
Yes.
However, when I travel so much, I prefer consistency in caffeine intake.
Yes.
And so with Starbucks, I can go into any city and I can get the same amount of caffeine.
And you know what you're getting.
Yes. And so I'm not going to be on this roller coaster of too much caffeine and then exhausted during the week, because I'm not getting the same amount or hyped up on caffeine. So I'm all about consistency with my caffeine intake.
You know why? Because you're an Enneagram 1.
Oh, gosh.
Our ones, we like consistency.
We do.
We do. There's nothing wrong with that.
I like the whole one life,
I do too. All right, you talked about boutique coffee. So you live in the Atlanta area.
Correct.
And, okay, so for anybody who's listening in the Atlanta area, where is your favorite bougie coffee place?
Okay. Very good question. And
I know where one of them is.
What's the one that you like?
I think you're going to tell me Cafe Intermezzo.
Okay, I do love Cafe Intermezzo, and that probably is my main one. And the fact that I love Cafe Intermezzo, it's also in the Atlanta airport. Terminal B, for those of you who travel, you're welcome. If you run out of makeup, go to Terminal A. They've got a Mac store. Also, I believe Terminal A has Bobby Flay's Burger Palace.
Yes, it does.
It's amazing. And then I don't know if it's Terminal B. One of them, A or B, has Shake Shack.
Oh, I haven't been there yet.
Listen, okay, I love Bobby Flay's Burger Palace since we're randomly with this topic. Love Bobby Flay's Burger Palace, but the reality is you should get milkshakes at Bobby Flay's Burger Palace, and then at Shake Shack, you should get burgers.
Oh.
So you switch it around.
That is so good to know, because that's not what you would normally think.
You wouldn't think it, but I'm telling you, Bobby Flay's Burger Palace is some of the best milkshakes, but I like the burgers better at Shake Shack.
So milkshakes, what's your flavor?
I'm a cookies and cream kind of girl.
Oh.
I really like anything.
You just like ice cream. You like milkshakes.
I do. I like ice cream.
Do you like milkshakes and ice cream more than coffee?
No.
Oh, so if you had to pick coffee.
Oh, coffee all day. I'm more of a savory girl rather than a sweet girl. But I do like sweet.
So where's another coffee place in Atlanta that you love?
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't go to Atlanta very much.
Okay.
So, I live outside of Atlanta in Noonan, which you've been there, obviously.
Yes.
You visited my house.
Yes, which I love.
We're
going to talk about that in a minute, too.
All right. I love it. It's great. So I'm still figuring out my favorite coffee place in Atlanta, but I can tell you my favorite hangout spot recently in Atlanta. For those of you visiting and you just want a cool, trendy vibe and good food and good coffee, is Ponce City Market.
Oh, it's beautiful, too.
It's amazing. So they've got great shopping, and then they have, if you like desserts, they have the edible cookie dough shop.
Yes.
Macaroons.
What's the big, they have a coffee shop there. Dave and I went to.
Well, I keep wanting to call it the Happy Goat, and I know that's not it. It's something with goat in it.
Like that.
And it's so good.
What's it called? I'm going to have to look it up.
We just went there last week. And
I haven't been in a couple of years, but maybe 2 years ago, Dave and I went.
Well, and then there's really good coffee in West Elm. Actually, there has good coffee, a good coffee shop. So you grab your coffee there, and then you just browse.
And
all the beautiful West Elm furniture that you would all love to buy. But
so you travel a lot.
Yes.
What are you traveling? Like right now, how many weekends out of the month are you traveling? All of them?
Probably like 3 to 4 weekends. I think we're going to be over 7 months every weekend through the year. Basically right now is kind of the vibe. So it's like over 40 conferences a year. I think that we do 40 something.
So people are listening and they don't know who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Tell me what you do.
Well, my name is Catherine Mullins, and my new last name is Robbins.
Because she's married.
I'm married to an amazing man, David Robbins. He's sitting back there.
Shout out to the husbands.
Hey, babes. And hello to the other Dave.
both of our husbands are named Dave, and they're fist bumping in the back.
And they have similar personalities.
They are a little scary together.
Yeah,
sometimes.
The jokes they tell, they're like, I mean,
I'm embarrassed,
and I love it. It's one of those things because we're like, they just said that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm a worship leader and speaker. And right now, the season of life that we've been in, we've just really felt that God is encouraging us to encourage the church. We have a heart for the local church. And so what we've been doing is just going from church to church, leading worship, speaking. And our heart is that we would create an environment for people to encounter Jesus. And from that, they're released and equipped to do what they were created to do.
That's awesome. How did you get started in music?
Oh, good question.
Because you were in Lakeland.
Yes. Correct.
But of course you had to be in music before that.
So I started music at my dad's church simply because there was a need. So as a pastor's kid, you basically, you set up chairs and you lead worship, you do whatever's needed.
Whatever you need to do.
And so I think I was probably about 14 years old and they put me doing background vocals, and I'm pretty sure my mic was muted in the house for a good couple of years. You could just hear me in the monitor, And so they were training me up. And I remember actually at one point I was sharing a mic with one of my best friends, and we were both learning. So we were both muted in the house, and we had a mic in between us, both kind of singing. And we got tired of that because it was just hard to like worship and keep the mic in the middle of us. So we would take turns on songs and be like, okay, you're going to lead this one, and then I'd just worship, and then she'd hold the mic, and then I'd take it. And so that was our start. Very glamorous.
Very glamorous. How did you end up in Lakeland?
Okay, so this is a crazy story. And actually, most people don't ask me that. So that's an interesting question. Anyways.
Well, to me, because that's where, didn't one of your first albums come out of that revival?
Mm-hmm. I don't even remember the name of that album, though.
I don't remember. I remember seeing it in the cover.
It starts with a C. It's either Captured or Captivated or
something like that. How old were you?
I was 20. I turned 21 there.
Gotcha.
So, they were doing some events in Atlanta at the time, and the worship leader, Roy Fields, was doing an event in Atlanta. And somebody randomly, I don't even know the person's name to this day, somebody gave them my number, and they said, Catherine can get you some musicians, for your event. And so they connected me with Roy Fields to get him musicians and some background vocalists. And so I got him a band together for the event, and I was one of the background vocalists. And so he and I and his family connected. And so he asked me to start kind of traveling in a PA capacity, personal assistant capacity on some of the trips. And I felt like that was a yes thing. I felt like the Lord was on that. And so the second event that I was at with them, it was on spring break at college. We were in Lakeland, Florida, and it blew up into the Lakeland Outpouring.
And how long did that last, the Lakeland Outpouring?
I think it lasted 4 or 5 months. And
wow.
Yeah. So I was going back and forth at the beginning from college because I had to finish out my college classes. And then I remember packing up my apartment, and I didn't know if they would invite me back. I had just been there for spring break. And so I called Roy and I said, hey, I'm done with school now. And he said, well, get on back here. And so I literally packed up my apartment, and then the next day flew out back to Lakeland.
And they were doing services every night?
They were. So he was tired. And so that, honestly, it's so funny. I feel like for me, a lot of times in the past, my like promotion in ministry or the opportunity that I've been given have been because other people have been tired. And it's like, there's nobody else, so let's have her.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's when you are faithful in the little things, when you're serving somebody else's vision and you're coming alongside and you're there for what God is wanting to do in the earth, that's what opens up opportunity for you. You don't need to be seen or try to be noticed or anything like that. Just be faithful right where you are, doing what God's called you to do. And when the time comes, the right people are going to take notice. And that's how God opens doors for you that no man can shut. When you are just faithful. And that's what you were doing. You were in school. You were serving him, helping him get what he needed. And then the opportunity came. Yeah, he was probably a little tired too. But now you didn't study music in college.
I didn't.
You studied business.
Correct.
What was your dream job when you were in college? Because it was not leading worship.
So I have to preface this for all of you guys who do not live in Georgia and do not live Chick-fil-A. Okay. So here's the thing. In Georgia, Chick-fil-A and working at the corporate office is kind of like a dream job. It's a really great culture. You know, you make good money. They have walking paths. I think they've got daycare on site. Yeah, so if you're going to be a woman in business, it's a great job. They have a Batmobile.
Do they really?
They really, at the corporate office, there's a Batmobile.
So because Chick-fil-A, the original Chick-fil-A was founded in Georgia. Atlanta?
Like south of Atlanta.
Okay.
Hapeville,
Georgia was the very first Chick-fil-A.
Correct.
And so then as they grew, their corporate office is in Georgia.
Yes.
And that's what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Yes. So I was at a freestanding unit, is what they call Chick-fil-A's freestanding units. And I was a manager and I did marketing as well. And so my thought was they would hire, they usually hire from the inside. So my whole business strategy, and it made a lot more sense in, getting a business degree to say, hey, this is my corporate plan, to work at this, office. And there were a lot of people who wanted to do that. And then I remember switching, and I still did business, and I finished my degree, but I switched to music. And it was so odd to be in business classes with all these people who had these corporate dreams. And they'd be like, well, what are your plans? And I'd be like, I travel and sing, I'm like, I lead worship. And you could almost see the looks on their faces like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, Yeah.
So that was my dream, selling chicken to the masses originally. And you're allowed to laugh. It's okay.
No, I love that story because that's when I met you when you were in college. And I remember talking about that. And I remember thinking, that is so great.
And and so at Lakeland, Roy Melanie, his wife, I remember they pulled me aside after an event and he said, we really feel like you're called to full-time ministry. And I just kind of said, if the Lord wants me to do that, I'm great with that. But for right now, I think I like the corporate idea. And because a lot of times in church, unfortunately, working with all different types of people aren't perfect. And it can sometimes be a more painful job. And I've seen what my dad had gone through with just people being, having issues and kind of taking their issues out on leaders, and I didn't really want to have to deal with that. And so that was kind of my thing is I told the Lord, I'll gladly just kind of volunteer as a worship leader, but I prefer the corporate world where they have, everything together a little bit. Yeah. You cannot treat people like that. So,
because it's not like that in the church.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very relational.
It is very relational. But I love what you said too, about being faithful, with where God has you, and then he's going to open the doors at the right time. I think right now, in our generation with social media and having these different perceptions of what ministry looks like and what it looks like to build a platform. I think a lot of times, because social media doesn't address the behind the scenes of what it takes to grow in ministry, people try to build their ministry in a specific way, and that's not actually the way it's meant to be built. The ministry is meant to be built on faithfulness and stewardship, and the secret place. And so I loved what you said just about being faithful with that, and I think sometimes people want to, be advanced and get the big platform immediately. But the thing is if you have not grown in the secret place, you're not going to be able to handle the platform. You're not going to know how to lead worship or speak at that level. And so it's God's grace that is actually keeping the door closed until we're actually prepared for that next season.
So when you're talking about ministry, you're talking about full-time ministry within the church. But I love your heart about ministers. You have preached before at the Ramp even about we are all ministers. No matter if we are working in the church, if we're working in education, if we're working in business, being a minister unto God where we are. So these principles that you're saying about being faithful, that happens whether you're faithful in the workplace, you're faithful as a wife or as a mother, no matter where you are. This is what it looks like to be in ministry. Where was that moment for you when you knew that you were not going to be working at the corporate office of Chick-fil-A and that you were going to be a full-time minister on the road? Was it a moment? Was it a dream? When did that happen?
To be honest, it was kind of like a puzzle piece shifted into place in my mind, in my heart, in my world. And again, it's the beautiful thing about God is He will open the doors at the right time. And so I remember being at the Lakeland Outpouring. I was busy with ministry, and then the invitations just relationally started coming in. And Roy and a couple other people said, Catherine, you need to get a website because the doors are about to open. Record a CD, get a website, and move from there. And so it was like, okay, God, I'm open to your plan if this is what you want me to do. But I'm just going to trust that puzzle piece is going to come in, and I'm going to know when I need to do that. And so it was literally like a shift. And one day I said, okay, this is going to work. And so I remember calling Chick-fil-A. I was in Lakeland and I said, I'm so sorry, I'm not coming back. And I was friends with them, so they were fine with it. They were very gracious. And I just said, some opportunities have come up that I feel like the Lord on this and I need to pursue. And so, it was like an instant shift. And I remember there was a lot of confirmation. My parents were even on board with it because I took a break from college for a year and a half and traveled full time. And then even that, the Lord was so faithful to put on my heart to go back to school, and then put on my dad's heart to say, hey, I think it's time for you to go back to school. And the even crazy thing is I actually ran into the dean of my college at a random restaurant, like when I decided to start coming back, and he connected me immediately there just in the restaurant with all the right people that I needed to go back to school and finish. So the Lord was really faithful with bringing the right people and the puzzle together.
So even though you did not go into business, those years for you in school were not wasted. They are valuable resources that you use to take you where you were going. Because I think sometimes people think I wasted those years doing this or that. And we have to understand that everywhere that the Lord leads us and takes us, it is equipping us for where we're going. So even though Chick-fil-A and worship leader do not look like they belong in the same world together, they did. Even things you probably learned, connections you made with people all along the way, set you up for where you were going.
Oh yeah. And I think, we were talking about this to somebody a couple of weeks ago and I was laughing, but you have to, you get humble after you have been emptying trash cans and cleaning them, and that's some of the best things that you can do just for your character. Also learning how to interact with people. There's so many different skills that you learn in the secular world that can help you in ministry and even college, all those things. You need a good work ethic no matter where you're called.
Yes.
And there are certain life skills that all of us need in order to accomplish what God's calling us to do. Because even in full-time ministry, there's still accounting. There's still so many relational aspects. We do work with a lot of people that we're just meeting. So there's just so many different things that, my college education helped me with. And also my training at Chick-fil-A.
Now, when did you meet your husband? You've been married how long? 5 years?
Yep.
5 years.
5 years. 5 years in November. So.
You had the most beautiful wedding at that venue, that barn.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
I loved it.
It was very cold.
Very cold. It's a whole other story. It's very cold. It was warm during the day, and then I think our wedding was like at 5 o'clock or something.
And when the sun went down,
the cold plummeted.
But it was beautiful. So where did you meet your husband?
So this was very sweet of the Lord as well, because if anyone knows me, and you of course know this, I'm such a family person.
Yes.
I love my family. That was one of the reasons we also made a decision to move back home, was just when we raise kids, we want to be around family with that. And so I love my home church, my dad's church, and, my college roommate still goes there. One of my, my best friends go there were my childhood best friends. And so David came to my dad's church, and I met him there. And the two things that are amazing is he became best friends with all of my friends. And the first time he ever saw me, I didn't have a stitch of makeup on, which is great. So it's like all of the bridges have been crossed. So, so he became best friends with the people that I didn't even realize that was a desire of my heart for my husband to be so close to my dad's church and the family members there. But the Lord knows our desires even better than we do. And so he answered it.
So when you saw him, was it like, ooh, baby?
Okay. No, it wasn't. And you know that. So that was like, I'm going to have to come back on here next time and tell the full story.
No, I want you and David to come back and do a Camels Are Coming episode when you tell the full story.
Yeah,
about that way he gets to have a voice into how the story goes too.
And we'll leave you hanging in the meantime, all of you.
But you were how old when you met him?
I was 26.
26. And you are used to traveling, you're independent. And there's a little bit of insecurity and fear when it comes to dating, especially somebody like you who travels so much. It's hard to kind of get to know people and kind of let that guard down. So I would imagine you're meeting him and going, just somebody that goes to my dad's church.
I tried to hook him up with one of my friends. And that didn't go well.
No.
So that's
because he had eyes only for you.
I know. He's loved me since forever, which is very great.
It's so sweet.
He looked like a musician when I saw him the first time. And so I remember talking to him, and we needed musicians. So I was like, hey, bro, you play an instrument? And he did. So he had the into the band and started playing. But I just considered him a friend. And I think a lot of people at the church, they kind of would tell me, what about David? What about dating David? And I said that for a couple of years. I was like, I just need to marry David. He apparently is an amazing guy, but I was in a place of not really dating, and I just was not ready for that relationship.
Well, and he was back home at your dad's church, and you were living in Hamilton, Alabama at the time, like 4 hours away.
Yes.
So it's not like you were seeing him all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we went on one date. So I was trying to ease into it, like, hey, bro, I'm not really feeling it, And so he could tell, and he was really nice and texted me and said, hey, I can tell you're not really feeling this. Let's just go back to being friends. Not a big deal. And so that was really sweet of him. And
that's a man move right there.
Yeah, real man move. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So it was not awkward for us because he was so amazing about it. And then a couple months later, he actually felt from the Lord to send me flowers on Valentine's Day. And he would tell you this, but he thought, man, she's going to think I'm crazy, like a stalker, And he sent me flowers, and they just said, Happy Valentine's Day, beautiful. And at that point, my heart had changed, and I was ready to date him. And I even just felt like from the Lord, like, this is my husband. And we fell in love. And, by November, we were married of that year.
I love it. Because it was the time. It was the right time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because even the right person at the wrong time is still the wrong person.
Yeah.
And so it was the right time. And now he travels with you when you go. And what does he do on the road for you?
He's a music director.
Music director.
Yes.
When you travel.
So he helps, make the bands cohesive and kind of teaches them the songs and leads them through the set.
And sometimes y'all speak to groups and stuff together, don't you, about music stuff?
Yeah, music. And he's really prophetic. And that's the thing I love about him. He is so bold with the prophetic. Like, he'll release these words in church, and I almost get nervous. I'm like, this is so, one of them, for instance, we were in Texas last year, and he had this vision, and he had this vision of this guy in a plaid shirt. We were at the end of the service, and he said, before we close, I've got to release this word. And he said, I see a guy. You had a, let's say, gray and red plaid shirt. I don't remember what color he said. But he said you were getting ready tonight and you were going to wear it, but then you decided not to. And he said, the Lord says that you need to give your heart to the Lord. It's time to get right with the Lord. And it was pause in the room, just kind of waiting to see if somebody would say anything. And this guy just raises his hands and starts shaking his head and comes up and just, falls to the floor and gives his life to the Lord. And it's this guy with all these tattoos and he's just crying. And so I love the heart that my husband has for the prophetic.
Yes. And the prophetic, so for people that are listening that don't understand, what is that?
So I simply say the prophetic is hearing God's heart and what he wants to do for someone and releasing it.
So you bought a house in Noonan where you live.
Correct.
Your first house.
Well, first house in Noonan.
Oh, actually, that's right. You bought your house in Hamilton.
And I'm going to say this, and maybe I'm going to have to do a public apology on Instagram if this person follows me. But nobody told me that the person who bought my house in Hamilton totally destroyed all of my rose bushes.
Oh,
so
no,
sad.
That is sad.
I know. Heartbreaking.
All that work.
Oh, well, I didn't plan it.
No, they were
there before. And it's really not the end of the world, and she can do whatever she wants. It's her house. So,
but you loved that little house.
I did. I was emotionally attached to that house.
It was a great little house.
Yeah. So we redid that house. We
you and David did after you married.
Correct. And so then in Noonan, we bought a house that's very similar to it, actually.
It actually is a little bit.
It's Hamilton 2.0.
Yeah. But it's super cute. I love it. Did you do work in that house or was it already like that?
It was already like it. So there's still one bathroom that we need to renovate. It has the old pink 70s tile.
Yay.
God bless it.
Yay.
So we're going to redo that.
I think they call it vintage now. Like, it's kind of making a comeback.
Yeah, that's
what
people say.
Get into it.
I couldn't either.
It's not my thing.
I know. And this one, it needs some work. Some of the tiles are like cracked. I don't really go into that bathroom.
Oh, okay. Is that David's bathroom?
It is. The pink bathroom. God bless him. He gave me the nice renovated one. He's a good
man.
I know. He gets up at 5 a.m, so he gets ready in the other bathroom.
Yeah, in the pink bathroom.
Yes. So we bought the house that we're in now, and we eventually, the plan is to keep that as a rental home. And then in our next house, we want to buy a fixer-upper because we love that kind of stuff.
That would be fun.
Yes, and I'm just basically going to copy your house because don't mess with something that works.
We will have so much fun doing that. You pick the house, and then I'll come over, and we'll just do all the things.
It'll be perfect.
It'll be fun. And my Dave knows how to do some renovation, and he can help your Dave, and then
we can start a company.
We could flip houses
together.
We could do this. We could so do this.
We could totally do this.
So what is your house style? What do you like? Describe it.
I'm still the Joanna Gaines type vibe. And I feel like she's added a bit of like modern pieces.
She has.
To her collection. And so that's my taste. I'm not as much West Elm, which is like mid-century modern. I like taste of mid-century modern, but I still like comfy. So I love Pottery Barn, but it's really pricey. So I'm a little bit, no offense, I love Pottery Barn, but so pricey that I would like to find like a boutique couch that's a little bit cheaper. So that's why I love Stash.
Stash and Tupelo. We love Stash.
Because we have the same couch.
We do.
And I copied her. So when I was saying I was going to copy a whole house like this house, I wasn't lying.
We have the exact same couch.
It's beautiful.
It's a custom couch too. So
yes.
You and I both have the only two couches that are exactly the same.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It is great.
Good job on that.
Because it's a great couch.
It's so comfy.
It's like 45 inches deep.
Yeah.
Like you can get in it and like lay in it like two people side by side.
And it's like a marshmallow.
It's so comfy.
You sink into it.
Yeah. So you're kind of a farmhouse, modern.
Yes. Because I still like the comfy side of living.
Yes.
Like again, your couch, it's like comfy. You can just settle into it. So I like it. I love shiplap, our walls right now are white, but I like this. You've got a gray color and we've had gray in our house as well. I love that as well. So the house that we're in right now came with white, and, white walls. We literally hardly did anything to this house that we're in.
But it's super cute.
Well, she was an interior designer. And so she redid it, gutted the whole house on the inside, even moved some walls to kind of make it
open it up.
Yeah, to make it flow and be opened up. But I literally hung my pictures on the nails
where
they had.
You may as well. She already had it figured out where everything needed to go.
That's true.
Where the studs in the walls were.
Yes.
And so are you handy with a hammer, or is that something your hero Dave has to do?
Hero Dave all day. Now, I will say this. So when we were transitioning out of Hamilton, we had flipped our house, but there were some things that we still needed to fix. And I did a little bit of that. Like I did a little bit of painting. I did a little bit of like, is it caulking? You know, I filled in a lot of holes and things like that. So I surprised him. Now I did get students to help me as well. And God bless you, all of you students that
all of our
me.
Students at the Ramp School of Ministry.
And God bless Gabe Martinez. He helped us with our garage and stuff. But that was my surprise for David because he was working so hard. So he came home and the house was fixed. And
yeah, because David was driving an hour and a half to Birmingham for work every day.
Yes.
An hour and a half there and an hour and a half back.
100 miles one way.
Oh my goodness.
That's a whole nother thing about good work ethic. God bless him for that.
Yeah.
So,
and you have a little doggy too.
Yes. My doggy's name is Yoda.
Yoda.
Which he was a stray in Hamilton, Alabama. Technically, Micaiah Wessler found him. And he brought him over to my house. And I basically was like, I'm keeping him. And I didn't give him the option of taking him back. And well, he wasn't allowed to have dogs at his house at the time. So,
Gotcha.
and I don't think he's mad about that. You know, I feel like we've had a discussion about it.
He's added some other dogs to his
they've got big dogs.
Big dogs.
So Yoda, he's 6 pounds, and I'd had him 4 days, and I didn't realize this, but the person who cut my grass, this was pre-marriage, the person who cut my grass, I had two doors in my backyard. And I checked to see, when I put Yoda out, I checked to see if the door was closed, but I didn't realize there was another one, and the gate was open. And so Yoda escaped, and I felt like a horrible dog mom.
Oh, no.
4 days
you
into
live
it.
on a main road in Hamilton.
So all the students, God bless them again, helped and spread out. And I remember a student asked a police officer, hey, have you seen Miss Catherine's dog?
Only in Hamilton, Alabama.
Yeah, you ask, knock on the police.
With a town of 6,000 people, can you walk up to a police officer and say, have you seen Miss Catherine's dog?
Yeah, and then it gets crazier. And this is why I love Hamilton police. They're amazing and will forever be in my heart. They put an APB out on my dog, Yoda. And I will never forget it when the police officer asked me his name. And he kind of did a double take and stared at me. And he said, what's the dog's name? And I said, Yoda. And he kind of went, huh. And he said, Yoda. And so anyway, so then I had to go on a trip, and the police officers actually tracked my dog down, like went house to house, asking, tracked him down and brought him back to me.
My goodness. Did you know I didn't know that story?
You didn't?
No, I don't remember that ever happening.
Oh, it totally happened.
That's hilarious.
They called me, and a police car pulled up into my driveway, and out comes Yoda in the back. And he's a little 6-pound dog. You can tell he's like shaken and kind of terrified and doesn't know what's happening.
Well, have you ever ridden in the back of a police car? I'm sure it would be scary.
And he probably smelled, their police dogs back there too. So he was probably freaking out.
Because he's a little 6-pound. What kind of dog is he?
It's a mix between a Dachshund and a Chihuahua.
Oh.
So he's got the little Yoda ears. That's why. But I still have him. He's great. He's being watched right now by my brother and sister-in-law. So
what do you like to do when you're not traveling? What are some of your favorite things? Okay, fixing houses. We
love that. So I'm always looking to know.
Do you get to rest at all? Or are you just so go, go, go?
I think, rest I have to be intentional with it. So most every Monday is my, what I call Sabbath day for resting. But we're pretty busy, so we're traveling almost every weekend. And then during the week, there's different things that you have to do to prepare for trips and just to steward your ministry life. So we are very busy, but we do take time to rest. So that's good.
What's your dream vacation?
Oh gosh, dream vacation is sitting on a beach in a little chair and reading a book. I'm a reader. I like.
What kind of books do you read?
I like Chronicles of Narnia, which we were just talking about. So Melissa was like, I can't get into Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia.
I want to so bad with all my heart. I do, but I can't. And you love Chronicles of Narnia.
Like I fell asleep listening to it this week.
Did you?
Love it. Yeah. I love to read, and I like all the, which this isn't books. I like the Marvel movies, but I like action and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. With Chronicles of Narnia, do I do books or movies? Which is better? Because some people are like, oh, it's the movie. And then other people are like, no, you have to read the book.
I think both are good.
Both are good? Okay.
Yeah. So I would say if you just like want a quick fix, go for the movies. And then if you want to take the journey.
So tell me about the journey. What do you mean take the journey? So tell me about Chronicles of Narnia. What do you love? What moves you?
Okay, all of it moves me. I love obviously the allegorical content of it where, you know, I remember watching the movie when I was a little girl and Aslan on the stone table, you know, he dies and then he comes back to life. And I remember telling my dad, it's just like Jesus dying on the cross and coming back to life, you know, which is what C.S. Lewis's point.
Right. But it was revelation for you. Like you thought you like discovered something new.
Yeah.
And like, oh, people need to know this.
I know.
Like,
this is a story of salvation.
Like, yes, Catherine.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just love it. It's such good writing. It has depth to it. It has the hero type of doing hard things, which that's the whole one, doing the right thing.
Yes.
You know, Enneagram 1, we're all about that. And so it's these young kids going on adventures and overcoming evil with good. And I love all of that. So the journey is you start with the magician's nephew.
Okay.
My favorite part of this, I'm totally geeking out right now. Just so you guys know.
Just do it.
Yeah. So the reason I love the magician's nephew is because it actually has, and I'm totally spoiler alert.
Okay.
Do you want me to spoil this?
Yeah,
for you?
I'm good spoiling. If you don't want to be spoiled, just skip through about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the thing I love about that is it actually is the story of the creation of Narnia. And Aslan has this moment where he sings the creation into existence.
Oh.
It's pretty powerful. So as a singer and just the power of words and the power of releasing sound, that just moves me.
I can see that.
And so the whole journey is amazing. And I mean, just Aslan is a great picture of Jesus, God the Father, all of that.
All right. So I see a Chronicles of Narnia evening in my future with my kids, because all of my kids have seen it.
Yeah.
And I know the idea of it, but I've never sat down and watched all of it. I could probably do Chronicles of Narnia before I could probably do Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or something.
I could see that.
Yeah, that sci-fi stuff's a little out there for me.
So for Lord of the Rings, what I would recommend, before you do Lord of the Rings, I would take the Hobbit journey first.
Okay. Hobbit first.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little more palatable.
Okay.
And so if you're like not as into it, The Hobbit is a great place to start. Would you agree, David?
David agrees.
He agrees.
Both Davids agree, actually. We got 2 thumbs up from each of the Davids.
Great.
So you have recently had a new album.
Correct.
And I love it a whole lot with all of my heart.
I'm so glad you like it.
I got a copy before anybody else.
Yeah, you got like the first copy. I don't even think my parents got a copy first. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're watching.
Sorry, Mom and Dad. And I love it. I listened to it all the way home from your house.
Oh.
And I listened to it over and over. And it was so beautiful. I love it. What's the name of it?
Sing Like the Battle is Over.
And what inspired this particular album for you at this time in your life?
Yeah, for me, I have this whole thought of the church, regardless of where we're at, we're called to sing like the battle is over. Because 2,000 years ago, the wall came down. 2,000 years ago, Jesus died on the cross, came back to life. And because of that, we get to fight from a place of victory. And I feel like right now, just where the church is at, we're really contending for some big things. There's potential for great darkness, but there's potential for great truth and light.
Yes.
To break in. And that's what we're contending for. And so to just encourage people with whatever walk of life they're in, that we can praise in the midst of a hard situation and we can see God turn situations around. And so that for me, I was just believing for some things in particular. And so this is a lot of just the journey of what do I want to focus on in this season of life? What do I want to believe in this season of life? And it was, I'm going to choose to sing like the battle is over, because it is 2,000 years ago.
Yes.
Whatever situation I'm facing, he already defeated it.
Yes.
And just bringing that into the now of my situation.
Yes. So good. So what's next for you? What have you got going on?
Good question. Our next event is going to be in Houston, Texas, at Leland's home church. So that should be fun.
Oh, fun.
I've never done an event with them, so it should be a blast. And then after that, our next event is with Jeremiah Johnson. He's a good friend of ours.
In Florida?
Yeah, but he's actually doing the event in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So he is based, and so that Dr. Michael Brown will be there, Patricia King, John Kilpatrick. So that should be a lot of fun.
That is going to be fun. Any new maybe a Christmas album?
Oh gosh, I have written one Christmas song.
Okay,
and it took a lot of work.
Maybe next Christmas.
So I think we're going to be taking a little bit of a break. We've got some trips in December, but after my trip in November, I'm taking most of November off just to be with family and whatnot. So
because you need to do that.
Yeah, I love family.
So how do people get connected with you? Where do we need to find you? Because I know where to find you, but where do you want them to find you?
Good question. So I would love to connect with you guys on social media. I used to have like a love-hate relationship with social media.
Yes, same.
Because it's so much, but I love it now because I get to do life with people that I probably would never have done life with.
I agree.
To some extent in the first place. And so I just want to encourage you to connect with me on social media, and let's do life together and do the journey of Christianity together. As much as I can, I love to comment and talk to people. Obviously can't always go super in depth, but I love to pray for people and whatnot. So just look up Catherine Mullins on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It should come up. And then also my website, catherinemullins.com, for bookings, whatnot. And then if you go to catherinemullins.com, that connects to all of my social media platforms as well.
And we'll put all of that in the show notes so people can find you. Where do you love most to be on social media? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
There's different. Instagram is probably more for like real life. I do a lot more real life posts. But Facebook, I do, some Facebook lives, like worship sessions and stuff like that. So Facebook and Instagram are my go-tos.
Yeah, those are my two as well. So thanks for coming over and having coffee.
Well, thanks for having me.
It was so good to see you.
And thanks for the amazing breakfast.
We did. We had brunch.
It was a dream come true.
We did quiche. We did biscuits, sausage.
I ate so much. And it was wonderful. It's a great way to end a conference.
Yeah.
And this coffee is just wonderful. And your hospitality and friendship is wonderful.
Thank you. I love you so much. And I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Love.
I'm gonna sing like the battle is over. I'm gonna dance like the...
Oh my goodness. It was so great talking with Catherine. It did my heart good just to spend a little time with her talking about coffee and houses and husbands and all that God is doing in the earth. I highly recommend you give her a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. She is a voice of wisdom and encouragement to the body of Christ and releases short videos and words of truth daily on social media. If you're in the Houston or North Carolina area, check her website for info on upcoming events. And while you're there, grab a copy of her latest album, Sing Like the Battle Is Over. It's the only CD playing in my car right now. I've included her website info in today's show notes. If you'd like to stick around for a little bonus episode, our husbands, David and Dave, got a hold of the microphones after Catherine and I finished talking and recorded their own conversation. The world is not ready for these two. If we haven't already connected on Facebook or Instagram, you can find me under the name Melissa Matheson. That's math, like 4 + 1 = 5. I before E, son, S-O-N, as in my 17-year-old son who keeps hiding my favorite Sherpa blanket so he can sleep with it at night. Friends, so glad you were here today. I hope you plan to join us each week on Mondays and Wednesdays as we sit around the table, have a cup of coffee, and talk about what's next, God.
Hello, everybody. This is David Robbins, and I'm here with my good friend David Matheson. Say hi to the folks, Dave.
Hi to the folks, Dave.
He's a funny guy. We're sitting here with our Starbucks coffee. These are the mugs that you can get from the Starbucks in different cities. Mine's Las Vegas. What city is yours?
Also L, Liverpool.
Oh, really? Liverpool?
Yes, sir.
What country is that?
That would be the United Kingdom.
Wow. Dave is a really smart guy. He knows his geography, and that's why we have him on the show today. So, Dave, where have you been in the world? What countries have you been to?
I've been to 30 countries, as a matter of fact.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
Wow. I didn't know that you were actually going to say that many countries. Can you name 30 different countries you've been to?
Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Peru, South Africa, England, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, West Germany, when there were 2 Germanys. That was back in the day, for those of you history buffs. Let's see, Sweden, Denmark. Did I say Mexico, Nicaragua, Honduras. Thank you.
That is Dave's wife, Melissa, in the background.
Coaching me. California, yeah, it's a whole different country.
That is really impressive. So you've traveled a lot. You've been around the world. I've been to 2 countries outside the U.S. I've been to Malaysia and Panama. So you're beating me in that realm.
Well, you're off to a good start.
Well, here's the thing. My wife, Catherine Mullins, she travels a lot, and we were having a conversation one day, and we were talking about bucket lists, and I said, I just want to go to Alaska, and I want to fish for salmon, and I want to go to Australia, and she was like, and I was like, and I also just want to make a music album. She goes, oh, I've done all those. And so I was like, all right, whatever.
If you go to Alaska at the right time, the fish will just jump right into your mouth.
Oh, so you've done it too?
No, but
That's great, Dave. I'm happy
I've
for
watched
you.
National Geographic
All right, let's go
before.
to the next subject. So, Dave, you just it's a crazy story. We'll go into the story, on a different session.
Okay.
But you recently, you just got a whole renovation to your house. It's not a technical renovation. Their house actually got, torn down from a tree falling on it.
Yes, sir.
Crazy story. But basically, your house was rebuilt, and you got to style it and everything. It's a beautiful home. I love the colors. I love all the colors that you picked out and all the things you designed.
You're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve.
But anyways, you just
the
got
degree to which I designed it was saying
you
yes
just got
when
your dream
Melissa said,
bathtub.
"What do you think?"
Yeah, you just got a dream bathtub, and I know you told me years ago you're like, I just want a big bathtub. So tell me, how's that going?
It's going good. And I'm going to go ahead and anticipate your next question. The perfect combination after I've lit the candles and selected just the right romantic novel to read would be essential oils, and I play around with the fragrance there, and a bath bomb. Those ones that kind of explode. Now, in all honesty, the first time I did it, it was like, what they do when you get a Coke bottle and you put like baking soda in it and you do those volcano. That's what happened to me. I was racing to get that cleaned up before Melissa got home. And now she knows that I did that.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. So what kind of sports are you into?
Tennis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
David, are you into tennis?
I used to play tennis some with my friends, but I don't really watch it. Yeah, but that was my wife, Catherine, in the background, too. So, Dave,
Sir.
You came to Hamilton, 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
A little over 5.
A little over 5 years ago?
I moved here 1 week before I married Melissa.
Wow. And so what was that transition like?
Pensacola, Florida is approximately 100 times the size of Hamilton, Alabama.
60,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. There are more coffee shops in Pensacola than there are traffic lights in Hamilton.
Wow, that is just a huge difference.
It is.
So did you find, that you went through a little bit of culture shock adjusting to life in Hamilton?
Here and there, really, but by the grace of God, I've lived all over the place.
Yeah.
And you just kind of roll with it.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it. You just have to roll with it,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that could preach.
Well, I lived in Costa Rica for 12 years.
Yeah.
And I went there before I was saved.
Yeah.
But I was really convicted to make a point of not judging them by my own standards.
Yeah.
And so that made my life a lot easier than for a lot of the other people that I was with, because it was a study abroad program. And they were complaining. But I was like, I'm going to try to look at them by their own standards.
Yeah.
And just enjoy myself. And so, Hamilton may seem like a whole other country to a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of fun seeing camo in Walmart, for example. But, I live with it.
Yeah. I always like to play tricks on people when they're all dressed in camo and they walk up and act like I don't see them. It's really funny.
Exactly.
Like they say something, then I'm like, you scared me. I didn't see you.
Or when they're wearing half camo, you're like, I know you're there.
All I see is legs.
Mm-hmm.
Just walking around.
Yeah.
So much fun. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of wisdom. How old are you, Dave?
I am 53.
53. You actually don't look that old.
Thank you.
Yeah. You age well.
Now,
Do you have any secrets behind that?
not particularly.
Okay. Moisturizer.
No.
Do you eat lemons a lot? Do you-
Not
have you
like
ever-
a lot particularly. I
Have
mean,
you ever eaten-
I'm
have you
not
ever-
prone to getting scurvy. If
Have you
that's what
ever
mean.
eaten a lemon?
Like raw? Not
Yeah,
particularly. No, lemon. I'll do some hot lemon water from time
Okay.
to time.
Yeah.
No.
It's not eating a lemon, but it's close.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, like the secret was the bath thing. You know,
Yeah,
that was-
the bath bomb.
what you do is you're mistreating your skin. Is like squeezing a sponge and holding on to it.
Whoa.
What you got to do is you got to let go and let it just soak stuff up.
Yeah.
But it's got to
I'm
soak
actually-
up the right things.
Well, okay. What are you talking about?
Did I switch over into
No,
Out
no,
of
what
te-
you're saying.
out of
I feel like
testosterone, right?
no, it's deep science what you're talking about, and I'm trying to just keep up with you. So you get a sponge.
no?
And-
What, I mean, your skin soaks stuff up.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you're
okay,
not
gotcha.
going to get the good rich things in it if you're essentially squeezing all the good stuff out of it.
Yeah.
You got to let go and let it soak those things up.
Let go and let God, right?
Exactly so.
Come on. Yeah, I love it, brother. And you love Jesus and you love ministry.
Yes, sir.
And you're really talented with videos and technical equipment and lighting. We were just having a conversation before the show about lighting. And so just tell me kind of brief, a little bit about your history with video editing, and also, a lot of people don't realize this, but people that are doing the filming or in the background, they're not in the spotlight. So tell me, what is it like being in the background of things?
What I like about media for the church is that, the Bible's full of stories, and they're written down.
Yeah.
Well, we've got
That's really good.
electronic ways of communicating those stories.
Yeah.
And so we finally got to where, we can use print media properly. If this were a college lecture, I'd be kicking you out by now.
They got me laughing.
Everything you said was good, and he just said it. And
Yeah, oh yeah.
random talking.
So good.
Like that patronizing, yeah, Dave, yeah.
How serious over there? He's like, yeah, that's so good.
I liked what you were saying. Carry on.
Okay,
We'll have
well,
to edit out that part.
I don't really mind the background, and I don't think of it using my cameras so much as the power to select what you see, and there is that, but I don't look at it as a power trip so much as I want to tell a story and I want to hit the high points, and it's easy to say, well, this is or isn't important to talk about at the moment.
Yeah.
The most important aspect is this or that.
Yeah.
And so I believe that the church needs to use media better in a lot of ways. I think that we are still dealing, and in fact, we had a corporate prayer session not too long ago where I really felt that the Lord was lifting the stigma of 80s televangelists and perceived abuse of the medium. And that I also think that the Lord will be releasing artists and getting the church not to judge artists as harshly as we do.
Yeah.
For example, firemen aren't required, or lawyers, to have Jesus on the back of their coats
Yeah.
to identify themselves as Christians. No, they're supposed to put out fires and write briefs well and honor the Lord with that.
Yeah.
Well, our musicians and our artists and our actors and our film directors aren't supposed to do it that way. They need to be worshipful only and not really occupy the real world with their faith. And I think that's wrong. I think that we end up making ourselves culturally Amish because of that. And I also think that, and I had a revelation about this not too long ago, that Lucifer, as the worship leader in heaven, was also in charge of the arts to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's fought us so much in those areas, because those are the areas of his own anointing.
Yeah.
And if he can't keep us out of that, he's going to get us to think wrongly about it.
Yeah.
And he's succeeded in that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That we think that you can't have something that is aesthetically pleasing in a song that's not worshipful.
Yeah.
And that's not true of other areas of our lives.
The point you're making is actually, it's really good. It's, we treat music as the arts, but what about the lights? What about the color? And it's like we want to exclude that from a way of worship. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was just having a conversation with someone about this, a few weeks ago, and we were talking about church, and some people have a bad view on lighting and stuff like that and production in the church. I'm like, well, have you ever seen a beautiful sunset? The Creator likes light shows,
right,
and stuff. Why can't, we worship Him in that aspect as well? So I agree with you. It's really good. Yeah.
I really am praying that the church will get that revelation. There's a few people talking about it, but not nearly enough.
Yeah.
A real example that a lot of church people would know about would be Bono, the singer for U2.
Yeah.
Every 6 months, there's a couple of big stories about how Bono's a Christian, and everybody tries to talk about it, but he steadfastly refuses to be pulled into and co-opted by the church.
Yeah.
So that he can do what his anointing and his calling are for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's investing his Christianity in the music that he does. And that's the way lawyers are supposed to do it. But the artists aren't allowed to do that. And so, he's pulled back. I encourage people to find a discussion that he had with the late Eugene Peterson about the Psalms. He makes a lot of good points about artists and Christianity.
Yeah. It's really good. I like the way your mind works too and stuff. It's very interesting. You're a deep thinker. So let's come to the shallow end a little bit. Tell me. As you can hear, we have our wives, the audience in the background. Mm-hmm. Lovely women. So tell me, we both have what I would consider, strong women for wives.
Yes, sir.
Just what would be advice?
Before you go on, you've got a long drive home with your wife. Choose as an older gentleman, I'll give you some wisdom there. Choose your words carefully.
I agree. Yes. You made me forget what question I was going to ask.
Sorry.
So being married to a strong woman, and supporting that, what would be advice that you would give? To men, because I feel like a lot of men make the mistake of shying away from strong women, mm-hmm. When it comes to dating or even marrying and stuff, what would be advice that you would give to them?
I would think, let's put it this way, in all seriousness, God made them the way they are.
Amen.
And a good relationship is one that encourages and facilitates the giftings that God gave the person, in this case, your wife.
Yeah.
That's, if you're going to compare that to a masculine stereotype, you're not losing any of who you are to do that. You're helping her gain who she is.
Yeah. Well, the Bible talks about, a man that, loves his wife, loves himself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you said a word a couple seconds ago, was a masculine stereotype.
Yeah.
Stuff. And I feel like a lot of men have deceived themselves or believe lies of what it means to be a man.
Right.
But I feel like a real man supports his wife.
Absolutely.
And raises her up and stuff, And I feel like you do that really well
from
what I've seen.
Thank you.
But your wife has also supported you with the bathtub choice, which was a very beautiful thing for her. Because I know that she wanted to, big shower thing, but you wanted the bathtub.
Well, and there was a concession. I mean, I wanted the thing to be made out of something really more manly, like diamond plate.
Yeah. Oh,
Something.
yeah.
Chrome. Oh, yeah. But no, we went with the traditional white.
Yeah.
That was my one concession.
Now, is it pearl or marble?
No, it's fiberglass.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I actually,
which is.
I don't know that much about bathtubs.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it even called a bathtub because it's shaped so differently from what I've seen from conventional bathtubs?
It looks more like a representation of like a paper sailboat.
Yeah.
But, somebody...
That's actually a really good example. Okay, well, Dave, it's been great having you on the show today. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, and, thank you to all listeners, and tune in next time when we have our show, Coffee with Dave.
And Dave.
Dave and Dave.
On Dave TV.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.